Hello and welcome to Indigo Vibrations. I am your hostess, Indigo Bay, and this podcast is a focus on self-care empowerment for women. Just so you get a little background on what the podcast will be like from week to week, I'll mention some of the features. There will always be a self-care theme. We will have special guests. Special guests will have the opportunity to promote their contribution to women's wellness empowerment, adding their self-care remedies, bringing value and camaraderie to our community. We will have open discussion and some Q&A. The self-care promotions, basically they're introducing various modes of how women can engage more in self-care on a regular basis. There will always be a weekly mantra, a main discussion, and a wrap-up with departing thoughts, suggestions for self-care. This week's theme is about putting yourself first. And the special guest is me, said the flea. It is I, said the fly. I wanted to be the first special guest because this is the start of the podcast, and I needed to set the pace so that when others hear it, they'll know the flow, they'll know the mood, and they will know whether or not they want to participate as special guest. So, real quick, my intro, my bio. I am a native of New York City, in particular the Bronx, stand up. I'm a mother of 3 sons. I am retired Air Force, disabled vet. My passions are writing, photography, answering questions that are not asked. What else do I like to do? I probably come off self-righteous to some because I have no problem speaking on my opinion or giving unsolicited advice. I'm a humanitarian to my bone, and I'm a lover of love. A lot of material that I will introduce into the podcast are excerpts from my book, which is partially autobiographical. You will also see excerpts of my book on my blog at indigobaywellness.com, and you can find any of these materials under my blog, labeled iBlog, and my podcast, all on the same website. So, self-care mantras will always be based on the vibe that I'm feeling or that I see or read in the community. A lot of what I've seen recently begs the following mantras. I'll give you 3. Surround yourself with greatness. Surround yourself with inspiring people, places, and things. Treat yourself with kindness. Try and take a moment each day to conduct 10 slow, deep breathing exercises. It helps relieve stress. And what I find is that whatever it is that upset me, it's not that it goes away. I handle it better. This week, the main discussion is sort of based on why I started the podcast in the first place. And I think it's best explained through the thing that happened to me that made me go in this direction. I travel a lot. Lately I haven't, but I'm usually just all over the place, going to different countries and states, and whether it's for business or pleasure. And once I was on a flight going somewhere, it doesn't matter. And because I travel a lot, I kind of drown out whatever the flight attendant is talking about because it's the same old, same old. You sit in, you put your seat buckle on. This is how it works. If you want to buy headphones or extra this or that, it costs this. This is the way you need to pay us. And then, of course, they tell you in case of emergency, here are the emergency exits. And if we lose cabin pressure, these masks will drop. And you please, and this is the part that got me, please render aid to yourself first, then help others who need it. I don't know if I just broke up with somebody. I don't know if I just got over an emotional vampire. I don't know. I don't know why in that moment I got that. And I really got it. And then I used it in my life for self-care. And it changed my life. Because up until that moment, not only was I helping others and giving them everything I had before I helped myself, I was drawn to emotional vampire, narcissistic, psychopaths or sociopaths who would pretty much use me as a doormat. What else would they do? Use me, and I was always, the way I was raised was to be the bigger person, be a lady, don't make a scene, take the high road. You know what, man? All of that stuff, it's true, but the way it was delivered didn't help me. And I let myself, not a victim, but I let myself, I let that happen to me. And I don't do that anymore. And if this rings true for you or anybody you know, then this is for you. Stop doing it. You're doing yourself a disservice. It's not healthy. And you deserve better than that. Recently, I would say I took a sabbatical to Thailand in 2013 and came back very changed. That's when I started to instill a whole heap load of self-care rituals. I reevaluated my relationships, my friendships, my connections with family, and it wouldn't stop. It was like drinking water from a fire hose. And for an example, I have a friend here locally in Austin who I adore. She's beautiful inside and out, one of the sweetest, biggest hearted people I know. And I had to take a step back from our friendship recently. We'll call her Cece, and I hope she's listening. I think she's listening. She's a single mom. She works her ass off. She gives until she doesn't have anymore. But she is me about 10 to 15 years ago. But she's waking up sooner. I can see and feel her waking up sooner than I did. The problem is, some of my disabilities put me in a position where I have to be really careful about who I surround myself with. I'm not strong enough to be in relationships where people need me like Cece needed me. I would love to help her. I have so much love for her, but I can no longer put someone else's needs and wants before my own. I can't. And I'm just not strong enough in every way. In every way. It got so bad for me that it made me physically weak. And I'm just recovering now. So I started to eat better. I have my glass of spring water here. I shouldn't have ice in there, but still, That's my way of Jedi mind tricking myself into thinking it's more than just water. Putting some ice and you're like, this is good. It's good for you, but it gets, it's a little boring sometimes. But the ice, it shocks your system. So, you're trying to be more gentle to your body. So the ice is not, recommended. You should drink water at room temperature. And we'll go into that another time. But anyways, for now, yes, I'm drinking ice water. And the way I stepped back from my relationship with Cece is what I broke my own heart by doing it that way. I just cut her off without explanation. And I felt like what I'm telling you guys now and what I've said to her in the matches what I've said to her in the past, and that was enough. I found myself in the past, not with Cece, just in general, explaining myself to death, like constantly restating what I've already stated. I feel as though I don't use too many $12 words. I speak clearly. I use visuals. I mean, I really do think that people are becoming really bad listeners these days. That or very narcissistic. I don't know. Maybe it's a combination of the two. People, I find, and it's not just with friendships. I find that happening. I don't know if I'm at Target and I say something, I think we're in times where people. I think there's a lot going on, but part of it, I think, is that people are numb or they're numbing themselves to get through. Numbing is not good. You need to feel. Because when you numb, you block out. So if you block out, you're not just blocking out the bad stuff, you're blocking out the good stuff too. And you need the good stuff. And you learn from the bad stuff. So when I cut myself off from Cece, although I know it hurt her, I hope she realizes that it hurt me too. But how do you tell somebody that, like, you're helping you is too toxic for my life? I could say that. But I don't want to hurt her. And if you're listening, Cece, I hope this doesn't hurt you. I have nothing but love for you. I'm not well enough to handle helping you fix your problems. I can't. And I don't want to break anybody's heart or be in toxic relationships anymore. So that's why I did what I did. And it caught me at a time when I was really feeling physically ill. So that's why I did it the way I did. Moving forward, and normally I don't do it that way. Even if I've said it 100 times, I'll restate it plainly. I'll keep it short. But that's part of self-care. It can be done in a tactful, kind way. One of the things that I realize is involved in taking care of yourself, it involves you, it involves your family, your friends, your kids if you have any, and just society as a whole. We have to make sure that when we're doing this, that we're being responsible. That self-care doesn't mean selfish. It isn't all about us. Everything that we do, everything that we say, every action that we take or don't take affects another person. A lot of what's been happening today, post inauguration, has been heartbreaking. I notice there's a lot of people around me who are heartbroken it seems that they feel they were expressing hopelessness and that they're scared. I'm not hopeless. I'm not scared. Excuse me. But I'm concerned. And I'm involved. I'm a writer, so I write. Physically, it's really difficult for me to protest, and I've seen too many peaceful protesters arrested and physically harmed. I can't put myself in that situation. I still have 2 boys that are young and depend on me. So I have to be smart about my involvement, just as you need to be smart about your involvement and your self-care during times like this. We have to develop a daily ritual of self-care. It can't be, that cannot be taken for granted. Please look back at some of my suggestions on self-care. Develop a daily mantra or a daily ritual that works for you when it works for you. It could be on the way to work. It could be when you first wake up. It could be when you get home from work or at the end of your day before you go to sleep. You can do this by way of prayer, meditation, or just repeating one healing statement over and over again. Words are things. Don't underestimate that. A lot of people will see someone that they feel are delusional because they think, yeah, man, I'm going to be president one day, and people will laugh at them. And then one day they look up and they are. So I want to leave you with this. Put your welfare first, then render assistance to others. In doing this, everyone wins. Love and respect yourself where you are right now, here and now. And humanity, humility, both start with self. Everything does. This is Indigo Vibrations with Indigo Bay. Thank you for listening. Love yourself more. With love, peace, and wellness, this is Indigo, out.